Immigration reform and the deportation of illegal immigrants was a cornerstone of the 2016 Trump presidential campaign, and now it seems President Trump is one step closer to keeping another campaign promise. On Thursday, the House of Representatives passed legislation which would make membership in a criminal gang reason enough for ICE officials to deport someone. One of the more prominent and dangerous gangs within the United States, MS-13, who come from El Salvador, were a main topic of discussion around this legislation. The legislation, called the Criminal Alien Gang Member Removal Act, has support from the White House, but the bill still needs to pass the Senate before President Trump can sign it into law. MS-13 is responsible for numerous deaths in the United States, mostly teenagers, which has spurred the attention of President Trump, law enforcement, and elected representatives in Washington, D.C. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has also taken note of the threat MS-13 poses to Americans, and he has promised to use the full weight of the Department of Justice to rid America of MS-13. The Criminal Alien Gang Member Removal Act is special in that it allows the Department of Homeland Security the authority to deem a group of 5 or more members a criminal gang. Illegal immigrants who have participated with or belonged in a gang can and will be deported under this legislation. Representative Peter King, R-N.Y, said of this legislation and the threat that MS-13 presents, MS-13 has turned my district into killing fields. In the last year and a half, 17 innocent young people have been slaughtered with machetes and knives by MS-13. This is the immigrant community that is being turned into a chamber of horrors by MS-13. Naturally, liberal lawmakers like Representative Gerald Nadler, D.N.Y, are crying about how this legislation meant to target gang members is going to somehow single out innocent people and will cause law enforcement to racially profile people. It would shred due process protections and would allow deportations of innocent immigrants based on the flimsiest of evidence. This statement is blatantly false because the DHS and prosecutors would still need to prove in court that someone was in a gang and in the United States illegally. The Criminal Alien Gang Member Removal Act does not circumvent due process, as due process is afforded to everyone suspected of a crime. The burden of proof is still on the government, and suspected illegal immigrant gang members will have their day in court. This legislation simply allows DHS to deport people who are in a criminal gang. MS-13 has thousands of its members within the United States, and for years under the Obama administration, nothing was done about this. Perhaps this was due to President Obama being too busy funneling weapons to drug cartels via the Fast and Furious operation, or perhaps it was due to President Obama going on all those fancy vacations. The left's fascination with allowing illegal immigrants into the United States is not surprising. As a matter of fact, their modus operandi is clear. The intention is to turn all these illegal immigrants into voters, with a thought that the Democrats can flood the voter rolls in their favor, aiding them in their various voter fraud schemes. Officials in cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Chicago are not interested in protecting their citizens from murderous illegal aliens. No, they are more interested in violating federal law and getting their citizens killed. California recently took up legislation which would make the entire state of California a sanctuary for illegal aliens, and Mayor Rahm Emanuel is suing the Department of Justice for withholding grant funds because Attorney General Jeff Sessions and President Trump have made it clear they will not reward lawbreakers. President Trump should take it one step further and start locking up any elected representatives or city officials who openly defy and violate federal law. Until folks start getting locked up in jail for aiding illegal immigrants, things will be slow to change. Thankfully, the Criminal Alien Gang Member Removal Act is a step in the right direction for America. The left is simply going to have to deal with the fact that they can no longer harbor illegal immigrants like they did under President Obama.